Hello, everybody. Hey, welcome back. Thanks for joining today. It's been a while. So if you're wondering why this episode is called We're Back, it's because we had a thing before. We at Trend Micro here, let me just make sure my gain is set up. So before I dive into this, before I explain why we're back, what we're doing here, what the goal of all this is, let's get through to some logistics. Now, if you haven't joined live streams before, they tend to be a little more casual, a little looser than sort of pre-recorded videos where you have the chance to go back and edit. You can think of this very much as if you're giving a talk in public, or if it's the end of the sprint and you're giving a demo to your teammates and stuff. You are at the mercy of the demo gods. You are at mercy at the live streaming setup. This should be pretty consistent. We've done this a number of times. Under the Trend Micro banner, I have streamed out about 200 some episodes under my own personal banner over the last couple of years. So we got a lot of this, relatively steady and stable, but realistically, stuff still goes wrong. Inevitably, something will happen. This is not going to be as smooth as you're kind of used to as far as canned videos. But I think the what you give up for that in smoothness and slickness, you get back in interactivity. And on that note, we are live across 3 platforms today. LinkedIn Live, under Trend Micro, Twitter at Trend Micro, as well as YouTube. Just search for Trend Micro. We are under the hashtag Let's Talk Cloud. That's the name of this series. Feel free to fire up comments. Let me know. I'm monitoring the chat. We've got a fantastic team that is distributed as always, but especially good to call out these days, that are helping me monitor the chat as well, because the whole goal of this series is to be interactive. That's the point of going live here, is this interaction, being able to answer your questions on the air to help you out. So you can see from the little lower third down below, my name's Mark Nunakoven. I am the Vice President of Cloud Research at Trend Micro. I'm also an AWS community hero, a general nerd. I really enjoy diving into cloud, building different solutions to problems. Been a long time security guy as well. You can tell by the ridiculous amount of gray in my beard that this is not my first kick at the can. By training, I am an old school security person. I am a forensic investigator. I held a number of roles across security, and of course now focusing that at Trend on cloud and how we're building and changing not just security but IT delivery in general. So the reason I'm running this show is just out of pure personal interest. I really enjoy learning about new things. I think there's a ton of exciting stuff going on in cloud, and I think we really should be taking advantage of that. There's no better time to be working in IT, to be delivering things in a new way, and honestly, there's no better time to be working in security. There's a lot of crazy, great stuff that we can do, that we have prayed for, we have fought for, we have just griped about for years, that we can finally do in the cloud, and that is why I am very much a big fan of that. So, again, across all 3 platforms, LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube, be available on demand. But if you're watching live, let me know in the comments. Give me a little hey, heads up, and if you have questions as we go, absolutely fire it off. Now, today's stream, this is season 2, episode 1. You may be thinking, season 2, what the heck happened to season 1? Well, season 1 we did before reInvent in the fall of 2019, which feels like 1,000 years ago. Obviously, tons of stuff has changed around the world. And let's just take a minute to make sure that everybody on the stream, as much as we want to learn, as much as we are dedicated to doing our jobs and our work and moving things forward, take care of your family first, take care of yourself first. As this is a live stream, you may hear some of the chaos that is my house currently. With 2 grade school age kids at home, now learning from home and working here with myself, my partner, everybody. It's a little chaotic. And again, that's the beauty of live streaming, where, it's not just me in a cave anymore because everyone else was somewhere else. But make sure that you guys are all set, that you guys are safe and sound. Thank you, Jim. He just fired out. He saw my architecture course, which is really, really great. Vince, thanks for tuning in, LA. I hope you and Jim are both good, safe, at home, healthy, staying isolated, all contributing here. But, the flip side of that is let's take the opportunity to learn about what's going on and kind of learn about cloud, move our careers forward. while we get this chance, well, some of the daily pressures are off. I think one of the challenges that companies have moving to work from home, there's tons of difficulties in coordinating things, but there's a lot of opportunity to get rid of work that we did just because of inertia that really didn't move anything forward. So one of the opportunities and one of the reasons why we're kicking this back off is this is a great series to bring you insider perspectives, to bring you different looks at things. Normally, this show, the first six episodes were me interviewing somebody. I'm just talking to a box. I'm just talking to a server. No, it was me interviewing another expert in the field with a different perspective. And I'll show you some of those when we flip over to the screen share here. Today, it's just me. The reason being is I wanted to ease back into this, kick it back up, sort of re-engage with the community, say hi to you guys again, and provide, today I'm going to give you a bunch of great resources around cloud, not even security in cloud, just cloud in general, that you can start to consume on your own, some podcasts, some YouTube channels, some newsletters, to really get up to speed. Because I know from the security side, a lot of people are really trying to understand what cloud is. For people already building in the cloud, you're trying to understand the security side. So I thought kicking off season 2, let's just do me on the stream to start with. We'll spend a half an hour together, maybe a little longer, just talking and just sharing out some resources. So again, we're on LinkedIn, we're on Twitter, we're on YouTube. You got comments, you got concerns, let me know there. I'm monitoring it, my team is monitoring it, so that we can see what is going on. Let me just make sure I got the YouTube comments pulled up. So yeah, let us know what you want to talk about, because I'm happy to pivot to whatever. But what I do want to do is share out my screen, which always makes me super nervous when I do this on a stream, but it's totally worth it. So let me flip this over. And of course, I'm getting all these great permissions. Yeah, don't show me that again. That's fine. I understand. Here we go. You gotta love the new permissions boundaries, which, honestly, permissions boundaries are fantastic. Let's make sure I get the right Chrome here. Yay. We do. Awesome. That always works. So again, live streaming is challenging simply because you want to make sure that stuff actually functions. You never really know. You want to double check. Let me drop the little Chiron there. Perfect. Okay. So the first thing I wanted to do was call out season 1. So this is the Trend Micro channel on YouTube. Unfortunately, we don't have a cool URL up for it yet. We will, I'm sure, soon. But in the meantime, what you can check out is there's a playlist, and I've put, actually, this is a good time to call it out. I have made a gist on GitHub where we have. Let me just make sure. I'm just getting a note from my team that, yeah, okay. It's just, I think the live stream's just lagging a little bit. So you'll see the Trend YouTube pop up in a second. But what you can do, and I'll drop this link in here, all the links for today. Okay, so in the LinkedIn chat, all of today's links, that's in the YouTube chat, and I'll get my team to tweet out that link for you guys. And basically what this is I collected a gist with all the sites that I'm going to show you now, so that you don't have to worry about typing down the URLs. If you just go to the bit.ly link with Let's Talk Cloud s2e1, you're going to see all these links. And the first one in there is the Trend Micro YouTube playlist for Let's Talk Cloud. And you'll see we had 6 episodes to start off with, around 40-50 minutes each. To start off with, I talked with Jeff Westfall and Fernando Cardoza, 2 fantastic solutions architects who work for Trend, talking about what they see for real problems. Then I talked to Paul Hortop, who works, he's the head of security for one of our serverless services. Cloud One Conformity. It is entirely serverless in the backend. So we weren't talking about product, and I think that's really important about this show. We're not here to pitch Trend Micro. We're not here to talk about Trend Micro products. Why we talked to mainly Trend folks in the first 6 episodes was to make sure that things worked, to make sure that we could engage with the audience, that we could provide some interesting content. But Paul runs security for, it was Cloud Conformity was an acquisition of Trend Micro's. But I thought it was really interesting to talk to somebody who was the head of security for a company that was entirely serverless. And now, of course, they're a piece of the Trend Micro Cloud One platform. But fantastic talk. So we talked to Paul. Then we talked with, oh my Lord, I'm blanking on his name. Brian Vermeer Samir from Sneak. He was in Europe at the time, and we talked about the risks of open source. And he gave us some fantastic demos. Brian does a ton of work with user groups around the world, helping them understand dependency challenges and managing upstream resources within open source. So you can check that out. Then after a horrendous, like brutal technical failure, we fixed some technical problems, got back on the stream to talk to a good friend of mine, Jeff Basquill, about containers. He's a senior engineer, one of the smartest guys I know. And we eventually, after we fixed the technical problems on the stream, because I told you streams are challenging, we had a really, really great discussion about what was going on. Let me see if I can get me back up as a picture-in-picture here for you guys. There we go. Okay, that makes a little more sense when I'm looking at the camera. So we had a great discussion. You can check that out. Then finally, we talked to Paul again at AWS reInvent, and then we did a recap episode. So those are fantastic content. They are really, really worth watching. Right now, I'm actually building a site for this show so that you'll be able to see the transcripts and have things like the gist with the links, all in one easy to check out place. That'll make life, I think, a lot easier for all of us. Let me just double check my Twitter mentions. There we go. Okay, perfect. The team fired out that link on Twitter too, which is great. Thank you very much, team. As always, some of the fantastic people behind the scenes, wonderful, wonderful people. I will point you to their social if they're okay with that, because they provide some phenomenal content for those of you on the social media management side. The team at Trend is phenomenal. Love to give them a shout out any chance I get. So, that being said, there's that first season. We did 6 of them. It worked out really, really well. Then the world got flipped upside down. Instead of coming back in February as planned, things sort of get crazy. Some internal stuff on the good side got fired up, but then the entire COVID pandemic, everybody started locking down. So it took a little while, and that's why we're back here in late March. Okay, big deep breath for me. I'm getting yelled at. No, I'm getting happy chat from my people in the background. So I will give you the big shout out to Ingrid and Joy on the Trend Microsocial team. I will share their socials out if they don't on Twitter, because they have some amazing content and suggestions on how you and your company can take advantage of live, but manage your social media strategy across all these platforms. I wouldn't be able to get nearly the reach I do without their amazing work behind the scenes. So back to the thing at hand. I think there's some fundamental stuff around cloud that we all should be up to speed with, and I would love to go through these links and everybody say, yeah, I already know that, no problem. That is my ideal world. Unfortunately, I think I'm also very much a realist, and I understand that most of you probably haven't seen these yet. So let's walk through them real quick. And again, the links are in that bit.ly link. You can go to the links yourself and check these out. They all have absolutely horrible names, but they make a lot of sense. They're very much named by the engineers behind the scenes, but really important nonetheless. So we're going to start with the AWS Cloud Adoption Framework. This is a white paper and a set of processes in order to generate this horrible little diagram here, which I can't make bigger, but it's an action plan. Okay, and its goal is to figure out, is you're migrating to the cloud, what does this mean for your technology? What does it mean for your stakeholders? And what does it mean for your business processes? So this is not purely a technical document. Technical is just a tiny, tiny piece. It's saying, okay, if I move, all of my marketing websites away from my data center, what does that mean for data center operations? What does that mean for the marketing team to deploy new stuff out? How does that involve various stakeholders? It's really about mapping your business out. And then taking that map and seeing what it looks like in the new world of being migrated into the cloud. Now, a lot of it is not at all AWS specific, but not to be outdone, Microsoft also has the Microsoft Cloud Adoption Framework for Azure, which is the official name and ridiculously long. Same kind of thing. Strategy, who are the stakeholders, what are the workflows, how do they change as you migrate to the cloud? They have a little bit clearer here, define your strategy, plan, ready, and then adopt. Very good document as well. Obviously, just painted blue instead of orange. And then finally, Google Cloud Platform also has the Google Cloud Adoption Framework. Again, white paper that lets you figure out how all of this stuff changes. Because let me be honest with you, I've helped companies around the world migrate into the cloud. And the reality is it's super easy on the technical side compared to the personal side. The personal side is ridiculously difficult. Now, don't get me wrong, the technical side is hard. There are some new challenges there, but at least there's an answer. Things work, things don't work. When it comes to people, we're soft and squishy, and it takes a lot more effort to get us on board and to get that thinking engaged, and it's a multi-year project. So all three of these frameworks, the AWS Cloud Adoption Framework, Microsoft one, as well as the Google one, help you map that out. And it is a heck of a lot easier to accomplish the culture change when you have that map in front of you. So those three resources, fantastic. They're linked in that gist to help you get moving. On the technical side, and this is the one that Jim called out on Periscope, and I appreciate it, Jim. I actually did a course on this, or I teach a course on this, but the AWS Well-Architected Framework is all about how you can make technology decisions on adopting cloud and innovating in the cloud. So not just, okay, we've moved it, but how do you keep it up to speed? How do you assess new services? How do you keep things moving along? Again, this is a PDF white paper. There are several pillars. Excuse me. So you have the overall framework. You got 5 pillars: operational excellence, security, reliability, performance efficiency, and cost optimization. The framework teaches you how to balance all 5 of those. So how do you get better performance but keep your budget under control? How do you ensure reliability while making sure that operations continue to roll? Fantastic, absolutely fantastic framework. Has 3 lenses, which are technology specific, so serverless, high performance computing, as well as Internet of Things, because there's some very specific technology challenges around those areas that they want to help you with. Well worth the read, or check out some of the great videos, which I'll show you the YouTube channels from AWS in a few minutes. But again, this is labeled AWS Well-Architected Framework. The principles count for every single cloud out there. In fact, the amount of times I talk about the Well-Architected Framework, I don't think I mentioned specific AWS services except for as an example of making a choice between 2 things. And you can just sub out services from Azure or GCP, and you get the same point. So even if you're a Google customer or an Azure customer, the AWS Well-Architected Framework will actually pay off huge for you to adopt these principles. It talks about like how you need to practice out your operations and incident response practice through game days, how to test and innovate, stuff like that, right? Super, super important. So with the adoptions out of the way, let me point you to some cool resources that got flipped to me on different socials. So this one actually came on LinkedIn, and I forget the original person who posted it. Apologies, but it's definitely worth sharing. And again, this link is in the gist with all the other links. Here's 450 university courses that are free to take online from some Ivy League schools. They cover computer science, data science, programming, humanities, all that kind of stuff. So if you want to learn something, very cool way to spend some time. Really, really interesting, as a lot of these colleges and universities have been developing online content and putting it out there for free, or they were paid and they've opened it up because of the situation to be free, but definitely worth checking out some of these courses, especially in core computer science. I wanted to bring down one of the books I've got the 4 set of computer programming books by Donald Knuth, which are just massive. Like, it's a good 40 pounds a book, but I didn't think I could lift that into the camera frame, but I'll put the link in the gist for that too, because I think there's a huge amount of stuff in core computer science that helps us understand what's going on in the cloud. Another great example there is the AWS Builders Library. I didn't put that link in there, but let me write a note. I will put that in as well. That's a whole bunch of basically computer science papers explaining how they've solved different problems, like why Dynamo scales the way it does, and that kind of stuff in the back end. Very, very cool set of resources. So here's some great courses that you can take for free online right now. Similarly, AWS released this free intermediate course around architecting serverless solutions. 100% free. Just sign up and take it. It's a couple hours. It says 3. If this is your first time dealing with serverless, it's probably going to take you the day. But it's a great course. You end up building up some kind of cool functions, kind of cool functionality in there. You touch on Lambda, API Gateway, Dynamo. Really nice, follows the well-architected framework. So that's a fantastic resource as well. A good way to spend a day learning about some cool stuff. Now, if we shift gears a little bit, we can talk about some weekly newsletters. So this is one of my absolute favorite newsletters. Yes, full disclosure, a bunch of these newsletters are done by good friends of mine. This particular one is done by Corey Quinn, the master of snark, the overlord of sarcasm, however you want to call him. He is a cloud economist. He helps companies understand their cloud bills and streamline them. He does Last Week in AWS. It is a fantastic summary of everything that went on in the cloud last week with a ton of personality slapped on it. Free newsletter, drops once a week on Sunday night or Monday morning. Well worth your time just to review what's going on. So that's from Corey. That's Last Week in AWS. Similarly, DevOps-ish. Great newsletter by Chris Short. He's with the CNCF, so the Cloud Native Computing Foundation. Great set of resources dropped into your inbox every week. You can review them online. Actually, so if we click through here, you'll see that he's this is basically the format of his newsletter. He's got a whole bunch of stuff going on there, which is very, very cool. Last one, don't be fooled by the lack of a website. This is just the standard sort of MailChimp setup. Gareth Rushgrove, he is works for Sneak as a dev advocate, actually. He does DevOps Weekly, has for years, absolutely years. Like started early on with Gene and Jez and Patrick and the whole gang. Gareth's one of the OGs when it comes to DevOps. His DevOps Weekly newsletter, free, fantastic resource, once a week. Get a ton of information dropped into your into your inbox. Can't ask for much more than that. So check that out. Shifting gears to the podcast level, and this is, I'm doing a lot focusing on serverless because I think there's a lot of really cool innovation going on there. I will give you other resources as we go through Let's Talk Cloud, but I thought this was kind of, introduce you to a new world, right? So serverless chats. Jeremy has been doing this. He's an AWS serverless hero. He's 40 some episodes in. Everyone is a gem. He talks to very similar to this show, but he's got a laser focus on serverless. He talks to an expert in the field on the podcast. They talk about the challenges, what they're seeing in the community, how to solve really cool problems with serverless. Definitely worth checking out the podcast. I think it drops every week. Worth the time. It's great to do while you're at the gym. Now while you're at the home gym. Similarly, here's a new one that just started up, Talking Serverless. This one's run by Ryan Jones. It's really interesting because he's talking to a bunch of key people in serverless space as well. But he's coming at it from more of the personal side too. He's asking like, okay, how'd you get into this? What was your career path getting into here? Really cool information, and it's just starting out, but it's definitely worth a subscribe. So check that out as well. And then before I jump into the YouTube, I wanted to call out something, and I'll bring this back around and call it out again. So Patrick Dubois at Sneak kicked this idea off, and then the Sneak team took it and ran with it. Allthetalks.online. So on April 15th, they're doing a full day. You can tell how nerdy it is right off the bat. The full day is 23.999 hours. I mean, come on. If that isn't our people, what is, right? They're doing a full day of talks from people around the world. This mainly started off with a whole bunch of dev relations people, dev advocates, who had engagements at other events that got canceled because of the pandemic. So they moved it online. All the proceeds are going to charity. Full disclosure, Trend Micro is listed as a sponsor now. Trend Micro and a bunch of other people are listed as a sponsor. All the sponsorship money is going to charity, which is fantastic. It's going to be covering security, DevOps, Java, JavaScript, Cloud Native, all that kind of stuff. The speakers are going to be great. Going to be a ton of phenomenal content. So watch that on April 15th. Great way to spend the day. And then I believe most of that's going to be available on demand afterwards as well. But that's a great, cool way to come together because there's going to be chat just like we have right now. So, if you're on LinkedIn, if you're on YouTube or Twitter, fire off something in the chat. Love to talk to you about that. Last round before I let you go, because you've been nice enough to join me for almost a half an hour now. We're going to talk about some YouTube channels. So this is a really interesting YouTube channel called Fubar. It's run by Marcia Villabla. I always mispronounce your last name, Marcia, and I'm so sorry every single time. So Marcia was one of the AWS community heroes, and then she actually joined AWS in developer relations as a technical evangelist. She's been doing FooBar for a really long time. She's almost up to 10K subs. Let's see if we can get her to 10K subs. Every week, she's doing something on teaching you how to build something really cool with an AWS service. So if we look at some of the videos, so building a serverless, and excuse all my YouTube analytics that pop up, but building a serverless real-time analytics pipeline, right? So within 14 minutes, she's showing you the basics. This is part one. I think it keeps going on. She shows you how to build React apps, building, all this stuff is really practical. You come away watching the video, understanding the technology, and actually having built something with it. Same with her explainer videos. She explains, a bunch of the stuff. Fantastic channel. So this is FooBar. Check that out. Similarly, really easy shout outs to the AWS channel. There's some cool stuff here, but what you're probably looking for is actually the AWS events channel. They started this up last year. Way less subscribers for some reason. This is where they put all the talk videos from reInvent, from Reinforce, from the summits. All that kind of stuff ends up on AWS events, not on the main AWS channel anymore. Similarly, Microsoft has developed or has moved Microsoft Channel 9, which started 12, 13 years ago, man. That's on YouTube now. Some fantastic videos here from Microsoft. This Python for Beginners one is really well done. Same with the .NET Core. Obviously, there's a bunch of stuff on Microsoft Technologies here as well, but don't overlook those basic ones. Python for Beginners is applicable to everybody. Same with .NET Core, given now the flexibility of .NET Core. And then finally, the last one I want to call is the Google Cloud Platform. Now, some of these videos, I'm going to be 100% honest, some of these videos are a little cheesy. Actually, little doesn't do it justice. They are amazingly cheesy because they're trying to set up like these scenarios. They're trying to go for something playful, which I totally get. If you can ignore the cheesiness, the content is actually fantastic. What you're learning is great. And again, there's all the usual stuff you would expect for Google technology there, but there's a lot of good core computer science and architectural discussions that happen, or discussion information there. Definitely check through. Obviously, they have their normal updates and things like that. Tons of great stuff around Kubernetes. This deconstructing chatbots playlist is actually really interesting. Again, the presentation was, I know what they were going for. They're trying to make it really accessible. When you just want to learn the stuff, that can be a little challenging. Stick with it, though. It's totally worth it, and absolutely great end result. So check that out. And again, those are in the link. So let me just put this back here. Definitely sign up for all the talks online. Very important. For us here at Trend, let me just flip back to me. There we go. So here at Trend, what we're trying to do with Let's Talk Cloud is we're going to be spinning this up as a regular gig again. What I want to know from you is, who do you want to see? Who do you want me to talk to? So I talked to a bunch of really interesting folks in the first season. I've got a bunch of ideas of who I'm going to ask for this season, but I want to know who you want to hear from. What kind of topics do you want to cover as well? So here's my social. Oh, that didn't work. Let me flip back to this camera, and I don't even have that. Wow. Let me put up my social so that you can hit me up if you want, and let me know. See, I told you live streaming is shaky. All right, here's my social stuff, right? So you can hit me up basically at MarkNCA anywhere. Let me know what you want to hear from the show. You can reply to the main Trend channels as well, and let you know what topics, what guests. Those are the big things. After that, I'm open to any logistics things. Does live stream make sense to you, given the challenges with scheduling with work from home? Would you rather see pre-recorded content? I'm up for anything. I think, especially in this time, we can really connect to each other. We can talk, we can learn, we can find out a lot of really cool stuff. All the talks online is going to be a phenomenal conference. All these people are doing podcasts and newsletters and things like that. They're great resources to continue to learn, to pick up a new skill set, to expand your existing skill set, maybe to move your career forward. So let me know. Hit me up on those socials, hit the main Trend channel. We will be coming back at you here on a regular basis. Again, check out that link that I dropped across all three platforms for the links for today. Sarath, I hear that container security. fantastic example of a topic. We will absolutely be tackling container security. I know a couple of people who are great at it, some of the best on the planet, and we'll pull that in because that's a really complicated topic as well. But I think it's one that's really interesting. So thank you for that, Sarath. Great suggestion. So those kind of things. Let us know what you want to hear, who you want to hear from. I will happy to hunt people down to get them on the show so that you can hear directly from them. Thank you for joining me today. With that, I'm going to stop the stream for now. Hit me up on social, like I said. Hope you guys are safe. Have a great day, and we will talk to you soon.